We're good. I can see you. I'm here.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Mrs. Pinky Thoughts. I'm your host, Mrs. Pinky. My name is Nicole Pinkston. I'm here today with The ROC from the ROC's World. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, sister. How you?
I'm great. Before we get started, I want to just do a little bit of plugin. And if you guys like conservative.net, that's in the middle at the bottom. Also, if you would like to be a contributing member to the Miss Pinky Thoughts channel, you always can slide $10 or more over up to my Cash App. Is at the top of your screen right now. And on the other side is my PayPal.MrsPinky85. And we're going to just jump right into the show. How you doing today?
I'm good. What is today? It's
Tuesday
or Wednesday? Okay.
Tuesday.
Yes. I never know what day it is. Everyone is at home all the time, and time doesn't mean anything if we don't put names to it, right? It's just today.
Yeah.
So, everything is good. It wasn't too hot here today. So.
Awesome. Can you just give us a little bit of your background? Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Just introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. A lot of people know me from my from Twitter, the ROC's World. But I'm originally from Oakland, California. Not born, moved there under a year old. So that's where I'm from. Had a childhood. There were some ups and downs, ins and outs. Eventually moved down to Atlanta, went to Morehouse, the house. Spent some time in Houston, working at Enron. As a financial analyst, moved back out to California, spent 10 years in Oklahoma. Now I'm in New York. I've been in New York 9 years. And I do data analytics for a company's name that I will not disclose because it's a lot of paperwork for me when I get into that and people start talking and asking questions and it's like, don't need that. But yeah. I do work for a name brand company. We'll just leave it at that.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about, you wrote a book called about your demons, inside demons, internal demons, inner demons.
Inner demons, right.
Tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay. So the reason, while I was growing up in Oakland, I grew up in the 80s. I'll be 45 in a month. So, turns out that I'm older than most people. Everyone likes their stats. So if you look at the stats, 45 is older than most people. It's crazy to think about. So as I was growing up in Oakland in the 80s with my family and the environment, just crazy shit was always happening. Or I would put myself in these just really weird situations. And I'm like, damn, I should write a book about this one day because I know this isn't normal. This can't be normal life. Right. And so that, I go about living the rest of my life. You have these ideas in the back of your mind. Oh, I should write a book. Oh, wouldn't it be cool to write a movie? Whatever. But I live my life. I, do all the, live in all the places that I highlighted just a little bit ago. I go to school for decades. And I have all of these experiences and I get to this point of where, fast forward, I have a daughter. She's 13. And she's about to go into teenagehood, puberty, all of this. And I know for me, it was a particularly difficult time. I know it's like that kind of for everyone. This is what I find out later, right? We all kind of really have this human experience of rough teenage years. And so it started off as a letter to my daughter. I wanted to just sort of give her some anecdotes, some perspective on what the next few years would feel like, right? But I couldn't just drop into the middle of the story. And so Okay, what happened before 13? Okay, 12. Well, what's 12? And then backtrack. Hell, let's just start from the beginning. So I just wrote my entire life all the way up until age 35. It's 35 and a half where I end the book. And my best friend, he was like, yo, great books. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put it out. And he's like, yo, why would you do something like that? There are all these secrets and there are all these very personal stories and anecdotes. And I was at a very transformational place in my life. I love movies. So like Sam Jackson, right? He's in the diner and he's talking to the crooks, and he's like, yo, I'm in the transitional phase of my life. Like I would just take you out of here. And I've always loved that character. Everyone loves that character. But from a personal standpoint, I was that character in a certain way, and we can get into that later. But I found myself in a very transitional phase, and I wanted to sort of give back and start talking about some of these things and having conversations with people. So I put it out, and I didn't want to tell people how to live life. I didn't want to, give instructions or rules. I don't believe in that. I wanted to sort of illustrate the process of living and take people on a journey with a character that's trying to figure it out. A character that maybe is a little too self-aware for their own sanity. This is how I felt growing up. The thing that I wanted people to take away from, I wanted them to fall in love with this character and watch this character grow and find himself through all the pitfalls, and then reflect on stories and situations that they've lived. I mean, we've all, a lot of us have had divorced parents. A lot of us have moved a lot. A lot of us have felt imposter syndrome. A lot of us have, experienced heartbreak, all of these things, parenthood. So I wanted to talk about these things from a personal standpoint. I wanted to let people in on the thought process of how does one get from here to there, right? It's not crazy. It's not weird. There is always a rationale. People always have a rationale for why they do what they do. It may not work out, you know what I'm saying? It may not, they may find themselves in strange places, but I want to give a little bit of compassion to the process of people trying to figure it out, because, life is tough.
Yeah, life is definitely tough. Can you expound a little bit? I saw that you were talking about imposter syndrome. Can you explain that a little bit and how you see that reflective either in yourself or other people in your family or friendships or things like that?
So it's interesting. I held a discussion for this at the company that I won't name with a group of people, and we were just we're just talking about different things, and that was a topic that I brought up. Imposter syndrome was, and I'm going to forget the lady who came up with it, but it was like 1978. I do know it was Georgia State. It was a lady, I forget her name, but her and a colleague, they noticed that women of means, of high education, or successful careers, or whatever, were feeling bad about it. They thought they weren't doing well enough, or they just had a lot of self-doubt and insecurity about the quality of the work, the sustainability of the work, so on and so forth. And the original study was just about women, right? Turns out, you fast forward, 46, 47 years, more study, this idea, people explore this idea, and you realize that everyone suffers from this to an extent. And it's really just that voice in your head, that self-doubt of, they're not going to like me, or I don't have enough merit. That's the word that people want to use these days. My merit doesn't stack up next to everyone else's. All of these different things. That's one way to, that it manifests itself. Another way is that people tend to become workaholics. They're very obsessive and OCD about the quality of their work. They're checking and double checking, and they put out great work, but their investment of mental and emotional energy is probably higher than what it ought to be, right? There's a lot of personal, ego, I should say, not pride, but ego and again, self-doubt. Are people, going to like it? Maybe this is the time that I fail and everyone realizes that I've been making it up the whole time. And so I've heard about this phenomenon, this theory for a while. We've all have heard about it here and there, but I've been very aware of it when it happens to me, because I am a very aggressive person. Some people know this from my Twitter. And so, I have this sort of default speed that I am. And then, the part of me that I like to project at certain times, it's even more so. But I found myself in situations, one particular situation when I started work at Enron. Well, the interview process at Enron. And this is an anecdote from the book. So I'm at cocktail hour before, because they fly you down for the weekend. They're going to do interviews over the weekend. But every interaction is actually part of the interview. So cocktail hour, that's part of the interview. The actual interview is the interview. And then there's a panel where you work on a project. And then you're just talking to different people from the company. Everyone is actually taking mental notes, or sometimes, physical notes on who you are, right? Anecdote about interviews. So I'm in this room, and there's people from Harvard and Colorado School of Mines and McGill University up there in Montreal. All of these places, big brand name schools. And I went to Morehouse, brand name school, but small. Very small. And for a minute, I was a bit intimidated, right? Because you have Harvard here, and you have, all these big, top dollar schools. But I'm from Oakland, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm from Oakland. I went to Morehouse. They went to Harvard. They're from all these, intact families. They went to these brand name schools. I'm not in the room with them. They're in the room with me. This is like that Rorschach, line. And this is before I didn't read the Watchmen comic book, right? Mm-hmm. The movie came out after it.
Yeah.
But in that moment, that script, that line was the perfect line. It's like, no, I'm not in here with them. They're in here with me. And I think I said something, along the lines of, they're not the competition. I'm the competition. They have to figure out what it is that I'm going to do, because I can guarantee none of them have had the experiences that I've had. And this sentiment has been, said and parroted by, thousands of people. It's not original to me, but I feel that if you keep your mind and your mind open, your eyes and your ears open, and listen and understand what's going on, take in that information, calm yourself, let the emotions pass over you, the reality of the situation will reveal itself. And that's the path to go. And, so I like to tell that story. I like to, over the years, I've increased. I don't have to necessarily go through that whole mental cycle anymore. I wouldn't say that I'm over imposter syndrome, because a large part of it is just a physical response to stress and anxiety and the unknown. So you let your body go through these emotions, and you stay focused, and you go about your business. Because I've had so many successes up until this point that, winning is that's just what happens. It's not even a thing. It's like, football, when you get to the, when you score a touchdown, act like you've been there before.
Exactly. So how would you categorize your experiences at Morehouse? That's a big name, school in the Black community. And so you gotta let us know some of the secrets.
I didn't like it.
Tell us. You didn't. Tell me about it.
I did not like it. So
what happened? Oh, goodness.
94, fall of 94. So this is a long time ago. Atlanta was just like really, really starting to pop at that point. Like you start getting, a couple of acts. Outkast was out at that point. Jermaine Dupri had been, he had Crisscross and Escape, and you had LaFace and that whole thing. Atlanta was percolating. So we went down. I went down with my two best friends, and not just that, but like my entire crew. So like my two best friends and like a half dozen girls that we would hang out with, and some other dudes in the extended crew. So when I went to Morehouse, I went down with like a dozen people that I was just kicking it with the weekend before we went down to school. And then when you get there, you have all your upperclassmen friends from, who were seniors when you were juniors and whatnot, or who were older brothers or sisters or cousins of people you knew. So when I touched down in Atlanta in 1994, I knew like 50 people, or 50 people knew me. We were deep. Cali was deep, right? But you also had, and this is going to sound weird to people, this was right at the same time that the East Coast, West Coast, hip hop rivalry was going down, right? And so it was specifically between two individuals and their associated crews. But you know how it was back then. It's like, no, you gonna claim your coast. It's like, we in this. And California, we got a vibe about it. We also have like big state ego, right? We are always California's in competition with Texas and New York. That's who sort of the national cultural poles of the country. So being from California, being from a place, it's like New York, down south, whatever. It's like, we're from California. I'm from Oakland, right? We got the Raiders, we got the Black Panthers, we have music, culture. Like, Oakland affects culture in ways that people don't even realize. The fact that people say hater, right? We've been saying hater and player hater. That goes back, decades, right? Oakland is we're influential out here. And so we're walking around with this vibe, and people down south don't like us, kind of cool, but we're too wild, right? People down south, the culture down south is still very family, it's still very communal, and sort of the church tradition is still very strong, right? There is a hierarchy. People sort of know their place. We just some wild boys from California, like, from the Wild West. You can't tell us nothing. We don't subscribe to your hierarchies. We're going to do what we feel like doing. And then you have people from New York where it's like, we're from New York. And it's like, so what? You know what I'm saying? It was, and so there were always, these frictions. And I'm just a person, I don't go along to get along, right? I can stand by myself and be fine. And that makes other people uncomfortable. And so as I'm very on the edge, and I'm 45 now. So imagine what I was, I went to school when I was 17. I had no filter. It was all out there, You might get slapped or called a bitch. It doesn't matter if you were male or woman. I was just real aggressive like that. But it was fine, but I missed my creature comforts. I was in love with my high school sweetheart. We were having our ups and downs. I wanted to get back home. And so I go home. I'm working in a warehouse over the summer. The manager took a liking to me, and he knew a guy who was giving out scholarships at San Francisco State. Free school, right? I'm about money. Okay. I didn't necessarily have the best time at Morehouse, trying to get back with my girl. Free money on the table. Money and women. That's all I need. If there's money and women involved, you have my attention. It sounds crazy, but we're going to keep it 100 on your show.
Awesome. So how did
I go back though. I'm sorry. I forgot the tail end of it. I go home. We can get into that later. It's all in the book. You can never go home again, right? You can't go home again.
Yeah, so I tried that too.
Yeah. So eventually I did have the forethought to say, you know what? I do need to go back to Morehouse. I didn't like it because it was uncomfortable. And that's exactly sort of the crucible I needed to go through. I needed to go through, discomfort in order to strengthen myself. I knew the path to become the person that I wanted to be had to go through that. So I went back to Morehouse, changed my major, graduated in 99, and that was that.
So how you end up into Enron, and can you tell us anything about the Enron scandal? Did you have anything to do with it? Do you know who had something to do with it? What happened with all of that?
Okay.
Also, I do want you to see if that, I don't know if it segues into 9/11 and your history with that, but since we are coming on the 20th anniversary and you're someone who has a closer experience with that, with the 9/11 anniversary, can you start from your time at Enron and then just segue into 9/11 and your experience with that and a little bit of the aftermath of that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh,
Okay.
wow. You
Yeah, I do my research a little
you
bit.
did your research. You jumped
I do it a little bit.
yeah, you jumped into like some tough subjects.
I'm so sorry. I be hitting people and they be like, "Oh."
No, it's good.
But I
I'm
try
just
to.
like,
I
oh
mean,
wow.
if you don't
Yeah.
want to, it's fine. I mean,
No.
I let the
It's
guests
all in the
decide.
book.
So
It's all in the
okay.
book.
Oh, it's already there. Okay.
So-
Good stuff.
I'll tell you how I got on an in run. I gave you the story about the anecdote when I was at the interview. Obviously, I got the job. I was at Enron and it was terrible. They assigned me to a team that didn't ask for me. The manager didn't have any work for me. She actually didn't like me. Okay, cool. I ended up working my way out of there. I found another position. I got assaulted by this Russian chick. I mean, she literally put her hands on me. And I'm like, you know, and I will say this, as she put her hands on me, to me, the optics of there's this, tall, blonde, Russian chick putting her hands on me in this office full of other women where I happened to be sitting. My first instinct when you touch me in a way that I don't like is I'm going to issue a threat. Okay. But I'm in a professional situation. I can't flash on this white lady in this office building. We all know how this is going to go. So I end up writing this very this long thread about what happened, and I document it and whatever. Saved my job. Make a long story short, I end up at gas trading. I'm at gas trading. They trained me for 2 or 3 days to just, if the number's off, just plug a number. Turns out you can't actually do that, right? You can't just put a number on a spreadsheet
and call it a day.
And call it a day, right? Because the real number is in the computer. And when the traders go to make their trades, they're trading in their mind off of one number, but what's actually happening is another number. So who knows where their P&L, their profit and loss is actually coming out. So I got in trouble for this, right? I had a director. Enron was the most cutthroat place that I've ever been. This director did not like me either. Something about me, man. These people don't like me. So he like really chewed me out. And by this time I had escaped 2 firings. I mean, this is like literally my 3rd strike, right? I mean, I'm 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. I got 2 strikes with this team. I'm about to be fired. And so I had been working, in this group for about 2 months. So I go out to my car and I cry. I have a big, ugly cry in my car, right? Because I'm 23 years old. I don't know what it is that I'm doing. I am on the age and it feels like the pressure of the world is on my shoulders. Because in my mind, I'm still that kid from East Oakland who kind of not supposed to be here, right? That imposter syndrome, those whispers. And all the things that I'm trying, all of my tricks, they don't seem to be working. So I have this cry. And I've had, nervous breakdowns. I'm wound real tight. So this is not my first mental breakdown. So I'm in the car, I'm crying. Then D'Angelo comes on, right? The song, the line. It's all in the book. And if you can go and look at the lyrics of that song. But it's like God spoke to me through the speakers of my car, right? I come from a musical family, but it's like God spoke to me through this song, a song that I had heard countless times, but the words were cutting through, and it was everything that I needed to hear. So from that moment, I was like, we're not going to do what anyone else says ever again. I'm going to do what I want to do. If I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired on my own terms. So I started working 80-hour weeks, and I learned the ins and outs of the database and how the information flowed. And I ended up redesigning the entire profit and loss and the benchmarking report for Enron at the age of 20. I was 24 at the time. This is a trading portfolio of $100 million. Ooh. And I did that when I was 24 years old. And I converted the whole floor, and I saved them maybe, 25%, 20 to 25% on their overhead. People were working, from like, let's say 6 to 8 o'clock in the evening. I was getting them out like 2-3 hours earlier. So they were working from like 6 to 5 when I got done. So I made a major, major impact there. Proved myself right. I didn't prove anyone else wrong. I proved myself right that I could do it, that I could run with the big dogs and beat them. And it was time to like rotate to my next job. And I was like, I'm good. I don't like it here. You guys don't actually have anything for me. And so I quit. I cashed out at the top of 2001 and I left. And I got back with my girl from my high school sweetheart. We got back together. And I went to visit her in Spain. I stayed for a month and it was awesome. And we were supposed to get married. And that didn't happen because she died. It was a car accident. Not a car accident, excuse me, a bus accident. There was a bus accident in Spain and she died. And I sort of jumped there because you asked a question about 9/11. And I share these details sparingly because I know how everyone feels about 9/11. But 9/11 didn't really mean to me what it meant to everyone else. Because,
I can see. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this happened. She died May 1st of 2001. My birthday is in September. So my birthday is that same week of 9/11. I turned 25. She didn't turn 25. You see what I'm saying? So I was in a completely different headspace, numb to the world, and 9/11 happened. And the thing that I remember is I felt so much of something for families, the families of the people who were in the towers and who were in the Pentagon and out in Pennsylvania, because, and I thought this distinctly. I'm like, wow, welcome to the club, welcome to the tragedy club, because, and this is one thing that, and when I say I have these crazy experiences that aren't normal, this is one of them, right? Mm-hmm. People, their high school sweetheart, who falls in love with their high school sweetheart and are actually in a position to marry them? That many people. And then how many people whose girlfriend or high school or sweetheart or fiance dies? These very just sort of extraordinary things. For me, they're all like overlapping, and so it's like, Jesus Christ, man! Like, what did I do? Right? What did I do to earn this karma? But I know why. But anyway, I felt people don't experience tragedy, and your parents die, your wife dies, but in those tragic situations, bus accidents, people getting shot, or a kid gets cancer and dies before they're 12, like tragedy club. You're minding your business on a Tuesday morning, and someone flies a jet plane into your office building, right? Just randomness, the random craziness of life. And I felt so much love and compassion for those families, just those 3,000 families, and the close network of friends, because it's something that you don't wish on anyone. Mm-hmm. We've all had hate and we've had enemies, and right there, I actually stopped having enemies. That was the moment I stopped having enemies, when Dana passed, because life is hard and it's capricious, and so, that's what 9/11 is for me. 20 years ago, my fiance died, and it never goes away. And so as the anniversary comes up, those families are going to feel, maybe not like they did that day, but they're going to feel some version of it. It marks you. I have no idea who I would have been if she hadn't died. Like, that person didn't exist. I died that day as well. And so the person who I am today, I'm thankful for the person who I am today and all the experiences, and my daughter, who, the joy of my life, who came from that, along that path. But it is interesting. And, 20th anniversary of 9/11, those families, hopefully they found some peace and love and harmony within themselves over the past 2 years as I have. And you're gonna get me crying again here. So you're gonna get me crying. We gotta switch up.
I try not to. I usually either I'm hoping for more of a different thing. I wanted to ask you that though to see how it segued into your podcast and into your tips and the fire you bring on Twitter. Let's talk about how that's molded into you seeming more like you're helping people. I feel like your comments come in at the right moments when you're talking to certain individuals on Twitter. Like how has your political or let's say social media presence, how did that come about? How did you decide to how did you get into podcasting?
Okay.
Let's segue into that because I know that's a little bit more fun and a little bit more juicy.
Sure. So I was on Facebook with everyone else. Twitter was that place where the crazy people were. This is what was said back in the day. When I started writing the book, you have to do promo for this, this, that, and the other. So I'm like, okay, you need a social media presence. So I downloaded Twitter. And I didn't, this was years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And I didn't post. I just wanted to watch because, this was all the crazy people. And I didn't really understand how it worked. But I'm an analyst, right? So I sit with tech for a little bit, and then I understand its place in the network. That's the other thing. I have this gift, if you will, for like seeing the network, seeing relationships. And it took me a while, and then I understood what Twitter was for and what separates Twitter from other social media platforms, how it works. And it is the place for conversations with everyone, right? And once I understood that, it wasn't like Facebook, right, which is very close, it's very insular by design. I mean, it works exactly how it was designed to work. Once I understood that it was just an ongoing conversation, a new age chat room, just like the chat rooms that I was in back in 2000, right? I'm that old. I remember the first chat rooms on Yahoo and AOL and all that other stuff. So once I realized that it was a conversation, I'm like, okay, cool, I can talk all day. But I gave myself rules because I'm in a transitional phase. I'm writing this book. I'm like, how do I contribute to the conversation? And I wanted to just be a conversation. I'm pretty much exactly how I am on and off Twitter. I don't have a different speed and personality. But I took some rules that I use at work in terms of professionalism. I don't swear on Twitter. And if I do need to swear, then I'm going to asterisk it out. And I don't necessarily engage in, I don't call people names. I treat how I craft my tweets are like emails at work because the internet is in ink. And again, I'm from a time where I guess people assumed there was privacy, but again, understanding relationships, understanding networks, understanding how things like move together, I understood a long time ago, if you want any secrets, you keep them in your head. You don't tell anyone. I also grew up in Oakland where, pimps, city of pimps, pushers, and players, right? It is a city like that. And whether you're in it or you're not in it, you're in it. You are in the game, So I learned how to play the game. If you want to get away with stuff, you keep it in your head. You don't tell anyone. You don't tell your best friend. You move solo. So with that, everything that I say it knowing that it doesn't belong to me anymore. It belongs to the world. The internet is ink. So if I say something now, how am I going to feel about this 10 years from now? Is this something that I would feel embarrassed about? And I'm pretty confident. Don't mind New York. That's New York. I'm
from Baltimore, so it don't bother me. Though.
Right,
I don't know how the audience is sure, though. I was like, I'm used to that. It's actually too quiet here for me where I'm at.
Right. I feel confident that you can pull up a tweet or something from 10 years ago and I'll stand on it. You know, pull up a Facebook post, I'll stand on it. And the reason why I feel so confident in that is because I'm not trying to be anything other than me. I don't go along to get along. I'm not selling a political platform. I'm not selling a movement. I'm not even selling my book. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I have a book. It's out there for anyone who's interested. I have a podcast for anyone who's interested in listening to me share ideas and thoughts about whatever, but I'm not selling anything. I'm out here just being, right? I'm out here just being. So who am I? I'm not someone who is randomly calling people names. I don't do that in the street because that's how you get in the fights. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't disrespect people because for what? You know, I don't have anything to prove to anyone because who are you supposed to be? You know, I'm literally just being me, talking to whomever I talk to, liking whomever I like, and people who like me come hang out. Like, and I say this, I am more open and honest and very clear about what it is that I'm doing and saying on Twitter than most people, but people think I have some hidden agenda or whatever. It's like, no, you need to quiet the noise and the voices in your head and go back and read what I just tweeted because that's it. You know, I don't burden myself with needing excuses for the things that I do or say. This is how I feel. This is what I want to do. This is what I think should happen based on the information that I have. If you like it, cool. Let's talk about it some more. If you don't like it, cool. Let's talk about it some more. Right? Don't disrespect me because I know, again, it's common what people say. It's like you don't talk that way offline. You know, again, I'm from a real city with real consequences for doing things like that. And I've survived. I'm little. You know what I'm saying? I'm 5'9". I was a little kid. I wasn't the most right kid, but I grew up in this tense area and nobody bothered me. I didn't get picked on. Wasn't getting in a whole lot of fights. People cleared out and left me alone. So I tend to respect people. And the reason why I'm not a big tough guy, and the reason why people leave me alone is because I leave them alone. I'm not judging you. You getting your hustle on, you working your way through life, cool. You know what I'm saying? So that is how I am on Twitter, and I want people to hang out, and I want people to have fun. I want people when they meet me in real life. I am going to meet some of y'all in real life. I want to be like, damn, Rock is just that same dude, you know. And then we can really talk. We can talk about our kids. I can share, you know. This is what happened to me in this interview. This is what happened to me when, you know, I was at this job, or, you know, I'm going through this situation with my family. This is community. I'm all about community. I'm trying to build and establish communion with people because I like individual people. Even if we disagree. I mean, half the people I talk to, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, you know. But I don't care about politics. I haven't been registered. I registered for a political party for one cycle. And that was 1996. No, because no, I didn't, because I was 20 in 1996. I couldn't even vote in 1996. I turned 21 in 97. And I was in Georgia. So actually the first time I really registered to vote was when I was in Houston for the 2000 election. And it was time, pick your party. Conservative or Republican Party, Democratic Party, and it was George Bush and Al Gore. And it was just like, I don't know, it looked like the same white guy to me. You know?
Hey, at least you're being honest.
No, this is like, you know, I mean, I know people are living in 2021, but, you know, 20 years ago wasn't like that. I didn't really know white people like that. You know, y'all was at work. You guys were some people at school. We were cool. We were, you know, cool associates. But, you know, particularly when it comes to the government, this is what people don't necessarily get about me, because I may advocate for public school. I think that there is efficiencies in a certain amount of centralization because I'm a network guy. I work with databases and systems. This is how I think about the world. My undergrad is, I I have an undergraduate degree in finance and a minor in economics, and I have an MBA. I've gone back to school to study German. I've gone back to school to study a certificate in data something or other. I can't even remember. Project management, music, photography. I've spent 20 some odd years, 25, maybe even 30 years of my life in the educational setting of one form or another. I don't talk about these things. I don't flash my degrees, but this is my life. So, I have all of this information and I just want to share it. I know all these random facts. My boy, I used to read encyclopedias when I was a kid. I couldn't sleep. I had crazy insomnia and we had encyclopedias, so I would just read them. I just love information. I love stuff. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just sharing it.
And that's good because we need people to share, because a lot of people like to talk, but a lot of people don't know what they're talking about.
We're just living life, man. I'm not trying to change. I'm not trying to change the world.
I think
you can't change the world. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, let me rephrase that. You can change the world. You can't save the world.
Yes, you can't save the world.
You can't save the world. Someone is always going to get left behind. And you see what's going on with Afghanistan, and so many people are like, oh, what about our colleagues and the people who helped us? And it's like, yeah, some of them will get out. Some will be lucky. And quite a few won't, and even people who aren't trying to get out, they are going to experience some very shitty situations in life. So I don't speak about these things casually. I have experienced tragedy, not just the one that I talked about earlier. So I don't talk about these things lightly, but that's where those people live, right? And now I have to think about, okay, well, what if we're sending some kid from Oklahoma or New York or Texas, or California out over 7,000 miles away to do what? To help assuage other people's feelings because they don't like what they see on TV? Is that worth it? I'm I work for corporations, finance, IT, bottom line, right? Life is a contact sport. People have these philosophies and all that. Nah, none of that shit actually means anything. These are the fancy things that we come up with to entertain ourselves. The vast majority of life on this planet gives two shits about any of that. The Constitution is just some shit we put on a paper and we decided were some good ideas, right? But I've never seen the Constitution stop someone from getting shot. I've never seen the Constitution stop someone from getting stomped out for running their mouth. So when people talk to me about these highfalutin ideas about, constitutions and Hegel and who learned what out of the fucking Frankfurt School, Jesus Christ, man. You actually sound like morons. This is not real life. Real life is, how do I put food on the table, feed my children? How do I help my brothers and my sisters and the people that I know live today a little bit better than yesterday? And we can do the after assessment of what happened and put nice titles and names on things so we can properly categorize these stories that we tell ourselves. But we're all living right now, right? We're all living right now. And I think if people spent more time living right now, what's going on right now, what is the bottom line that I'm trying to deal with? This is that conservatism that people talk about. Let's stop trying to manage and save the entire world. Save yourself. Save your children.
Start smaller.
Start smaller.
And then work out, like we always say in local, and your four walls first. Right.
So it's like, man, dude, so people tell me when, and I get it from left people, from conservatives and progressives, whatever, when, as we used to call back in the day, my Hotep brothers and sisters, forgive me, but you guys know how it is. There's some, we always, poking with back in the day, when Cass was being too extra, be like, man, those Hoteps, man, they preaching that back to Africa shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's all love though. Or when Cass, those super blacks, Cass who's just really, really down for the cause and,
I was going to get into that with you a little bit because I do know some people do try to throw you in there and think you're like super Hotep. And conscious conservatives, we're cool with Hotep Jesus and the whole Hotep nation, and they are brothers and sisters. But sometimes like people think you're that, and then they see your girlfriend and go, "Wait a minute."
So we can get into that. We're gonna save some time when we're gonna get into that. But okay. Damn, I lost my train. What was I saying?
Oh, we were just talking about back to Africa and just
back
how
to Africa and
some people are super, super black,
and they ask me,
and we've had Hotep black on our show on Conscious Conservative TV, so we're cool with Hotep.
So when they ask, what have you done for black people? It's like, I've raised my daughter. That's what I've done for black people. I divorced her mother, but I was never late, not one time, on child support. 18 is next month. I haven't missed one. We've already had the conversation of how I'm going to just take that child support and put it in my daughter's bank account because she still needs that money. When I was down in DC, I stayed with my ex. We were all a family. We're still a family. That's what I've done for black people. I was a father. I was an active father.
I'm clapping because I have a good relationship with my dad, and I always gonna clap up good fathers or good fathers in general. So you get all the hand claps from me.
That's what I've done for black people. I have no debt. I don't owe anyone anything in the world save for my daughter. That's what I've done for black people. I counsel. I counsel my friends. I look after my people. Whenever I see black people doing, out here doing well, I'm always like, just a head nod. When I see people, when I'm out dealing with other type of people, white people, Asian people, whatever, I'm walking with pride. I'm one of the smartest dudes in the room. I'm one of the coolest dudes in the room. That's what I'm doing for black people. Like, it's like that Jay-Z line. It's just like, I took y'all, I took y'all out of the hood. I took y'all stories over here with me, and I learned and I gathered information from these corporations that I've been in, interviews, to the point where now I'm conducting interviews and I'm hiring people. So now I can use my Twitter platform. Hey, when you're in the interviews, ask this question. Keep this, when they're saying this, understand it's that. Understand what is actually being asked of you in the interview and what a job is. Giving my experience free. We used to call it game. Here it is for you. Do what you will. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Some people I think are projecting. Sometimes when they ask you what you're doing or what you're into, they're doing that because they're trying to refade what they're lacking or what they might be coming up on. And then you be like, oh, I got da 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 da, because you don't go around with your credentials on your shoulder or all in your bio. You don't got like ROC, MBA, finance, da 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 da. So they like I had to, like, when I first started this, I was like, I got a couple of things too, like, but some people just think that stuff, I guess some people aren't doing anything with it, or they might feel guilty because they don't have a couple of dollars. So
and my avatar on Twitter is me going to a Halloween party with my girlfriend's
jacket.
Then my New York hat,
I love that picture because I know it's a conversation starter, and people might be like, "Oh, is he off him? Who is this coming into my timeline?"
You know what? Do you know why I use that picture?
No, why? Can you tell us?
We were Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Okay.
On Disney Plus, and then they were walking to the island, and they had Sam, and he was dressed up, and and he was like, "Yo, man, I feel like a pimp," and Baron Zemo was like, "Yeah, only American would think a sartorially forward black man would be a pimp. And I thought that was, I mean, everyone has seen that series.
That was great. I was
so
like,
player.
yes.
I was like, man, dude.
Wow.
I'm like, these writers, and obviously it was a great scene, and the actors pulled it off. But credit to the writers to sit down and unravel the mentality and the background of these characters, right? It's like, man, dude, bravo for the writers. Salute. You know, I'm an artist. You know, I write music. I write, you know, my tweets are the raps that I didn't get into, right? I went, you know, rapper shoot ball. I'm short and I hate the music industry. So I went corporate because I'm smart like that, you know, but I take hip hop.
Yeah.
And so my tweets are my bars. So yeah, I was like, okay, I got a Baron Zemo, great writer. So that's why I have that picture.
Awesome. So what do you think about the conscious conservative movement? How did you get connected with it? How do you think about its direction or its focus? Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what do you feel about it?
I forget how it came about, but I don't know if it was Jeff or Felicia that I first ran into, or it was someone else that connected me. But I ran into Coach, ran into Jeff, and I liked them. You know, I like these people. Met you, you know, Olivia. I had Olivia on my podcast, which my podcast is literally just talking shit because that's all I like to do. I just like to talk to people. I want to start some new ones because I've talked about social stuff, but I want to let people into. I'm actually kind of crazy a little bit, so I want to start talking about some of those things. But I met these people whom we may or may not have the same processes in mind in terms of how to structure something to achieve an end, right? Because I have my perspective, I have my expertise in the way I process information. Everyone has theirs, but I like them because I can sense the integrity. I can sense the quest for integrity, I should say. We're all on a quest to be more integrous. So I if that's the word, I sense that from people. And so that's why for me, I don't care about the political labels or even, you know, the group names like conscious conservatives or the hoteps. It's like, man, call yourself whatever it is that you want. I'm the same with these pronouns. Listen, I'll call you whatever it is if you're not making me really jump through hoops for it. I don't care. How can I convey love and respect to you? Cool. So I like people. I don't like organizations. I don't belong to organizations. I love people though. So when I see you talking about the things that you're talking about, you know, when I see, you know, you guys working with single moms, when I see you guys being very proud Black people, and when I see the environment that you've created, not just for Black people, but for all people who have love and respect and admiration for Black people and the Black experience, you know, specifically those of us descended from those slaves. I don't even like these damn acronyms, but I'll use it so people understand exactly what I'm talking about. We just call it Black. I love that. I respect that. You know, my name is Rahmaan, right? I grew up in a very Afrocentric Black family. I'm from Oakland. Black Panthers informed my father. He was a Muslim. I went to a Muslim school from preschool up through first grade. You know, I practice Islam. I practice Christianity. You know, my family were leaders in the Black church. That's Black culture. This is all I know.
Yes.
You know, if I wanted, I could have been a preacher. If I wanted, I could have been an imam. You know, all of these leadership positions in the Black community, I had my choice of because I'm connected that way. I chose not to because, again,
did I lose his connection? Sorry, you guys, we might have a technical difficulty right now. And he was getting good too. We're just gonna see if we could get him back real quick. Thank you for joining me and Miss Pinky Thoughts. While we're waiting for him to get back, I do want to let you guys know that you can join the network at Conscious Conservative Media. And also we have a clothing and shoe line that you guys gotta check out. And I had to use this interlude for this little thing to do a little plug-in, because we have hoodies, jackets, bomber jackets, and that the proceeds go to our single living communal organization. It goes to training rising leaders. It goes to keeping our website free. You don't have to pay no subscription like locals or anybody else. And we're just trying to get ROC back. There's some storming going on. I don't know why storming been happening. It seems like every week during my show, but it's a lot going on. But we only had a few more minutes with him. I'm going to see if he can get him back. If we not, we could stop there. I know that was so juicy what he was getting into. So we're going to see if we can catch him right back. If you guys can just hold on for 1 second. I'm so sorry. But we'll get you guys back. And I think we might have him back.
What happened?
Yes.
Oh my!
I think that's my end. Yeah.
No, that's my end. That's my end. The devil working hard. Yeah, man, I'm out here about to give like the coup de grace. The devil coming. No.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, because I'm talking about the creature that I could have been. I've had these opportunities, and I didn't want to go that route, right? I had another path, but damn it, I lost my train of thought. See, that's how
you were talking about why you didn't get into that, because I grew up, like, I could talk about me just a second. Yeah. My dad is a minister. Mm-hmm. Minister work and Christianity goes through my blood. My dad, my grandparents, my great grandparents, my mom's side, my dad's side, two different sides, all Christianity. Mm-hmm. I have churches, mega churches, smaller churches. So I understand that feeling like that's a calling on your life, because that's what you are surrounded. But then you like, what if God called me to do something a little different, like, or to reach other types of people?
You know what God called me to do? God called me to go have these experiences. God called me to go make some money. God told me to have these relationships and have all these heartbreaks. That's what God wanted me to do. Talking about conscious conservatives, growing up in this environment, I love Black people. Because as you were telling your story, and I was telling this, Jeff and I were talking about this on the show, my White History Month show. The bond that we have is that your story is similar to my story. When you win, I aspirationally see myself winning, because we come from similar places and similar stock. That's why I love and support y'all, because again, it's not just Black people trying to reach out for Black people. It's just Black people being great and shining the light and the love and everyone that you guys, bring. I support that. I'm just here supporting people. And that's why I don't join these gangs. So I want to go, and not that you guys are a gang, but I don't join these organizations because I want the freedom to do what it is that I want to do, to follow my integrity. That's all it is. So that's why with Hoteps, I love Hoteps, right? Mm-hmm. I love Hoteps. They could be a little strong sometimes, but at the same time, it's like they living it how they talking. They walk how they talk, right? It's like, This is us. We are going to take care of ourselves 100%, remove ourselves, in these ways and from society. And they do it. Go ahead, man. Black people, y'all winning. I love that. They don't bother anybody. I love that. Me, I'm doing something else, because people, they see me affiliated with you guys. From the things that I talk, I talk about, like with education or with your money or how you do your business. I may seem aligned with the Hoteps, but I don't, but then they see my girlfriend. It's like, yo, why you with that white woman? And it's like, because I fucking feel like it. That's why. I get to do what I want, because Bottom line. This is one of the things I want to get people to understand. Everyone has all of these excuses. We got to do this and we got to do that to get to here. It's like, no, you don't. Just cut to the end, right? Just cut to the end. So when we talk about civil rights, and we talk about Black people being equal in America, whatever, well, what are we talking about? Right? You know, white privilege. What are we talking about? We're talking about people who go about living their lives doing whatever it is they feel like doing, right? They're not measuring and ranking themselves up to other people. They feel as if they're the standard. So if this is the equality, if this is the standard of where everybody's free and everyone is equal and all that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and skip to the end. Now, I'm not under any delusions like OJ. You know, I am a Black man in this world. That's how people see me, and that's my heritage and my family. So whatever. However, the whole point is for a Black man to walk through America doing whatever he felt like doing. So I'm going to skip to the end. I'm going to be a Black man walking through America doing whatever I feel like doing. And if anyone has a problem with it, if anyone has anything to say about it, we can have a conversation. I'm going to ask you to explain yourself. I'm going to give you all the room you need. Because I've lived my life fully. My first wife, if anyone wants to check my credentials, I am ADOS. I got real nappy hair. You know, I didn't change my name to Rahmaan. My name is Rahmaan. It's on my birth certificate with 4 others. You know, I grew up in Oakland during the crack era, right? So any stereotypical Black box, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know, I went to a black college. I went to a HBCU. Mm-hmm. Check. You know, my first wife, my children, 100% Black. You know. But my fiance died and I got divorced, and I've tried to live life how everyone else lived. And I've tried to be average and fit in, and I tried to do it how everyone else was saying. And I found myself sitting in a car, ugly crying on multiple occasions. So just like it was at Enron, just like it was after my first wife and I got divorced and our family was in question, I decided to do what I felt like doing. I'm not going to listen to everybody else. This is my life. And so the more I do whatever I feel like doing, the happier I become. Would you look at that? When I mind my own business and I focus on what makes me happy and I disregard all the other things that aren't actually adding to my happiness, I'm happy. And you know what also makes me happy? Being nice to other people. Because people who are happy are cooler to be around. You know, I want to see everybody have money in their pocket. You know why? Because people with money in their pocket are less stressed. People who are less stressed are fun, you know, are more fun to be around. So I want everybody to win. I want Black people to win and make money. I want white people to win and make money. Why? Because white people with more money in their pocket are cool, you know, not stressed, not feeling anxiety, you know. And I'm not talking about the racial stuff. I'm talking about just average walking around, you know, walking around the street. Man, dude, I hope you know, I hope you and your missus and your miss or your mister or whomever, I hope y'all having a great time. I hope your kids are healthy. I hope they're happy. You know, I want everybody to win because I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna enjoy myself. I actually invite everyone to join. And if you're having problems having fun with wherever you are, holla at your homie. See if we can work it out.
Exactly. Yes. I love it. And that's a good ending to the show. I'm going to leave it there because that was such a positive note. I know we hit some highs and some lows, and I want people to understand that it's not all depressing or like, oh, what do we need and way in the water or nothing like that. You know, over here, I call my show MrsPinky Thoughts because I just let people know these are just the ideas that are roaming around in my head.
We just living.
Yeah, we just living. So I mean, I could have called this talking shit too, like, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that Jay-Z song, "Can I Live?" You know, that's
Can I live? Like that's all we really trying to do.
That's what we trying to do.
I know I feel like sometimes we have to label everything and we have to put like, okay, we conservatives, but that's why I always going back and forth with if you see me going off on people and stuff because they I'll say conservative, then they're like, okay, you in this box, or you like this person, or I might
Right.
not, I might like something this person did one day and not the other day. So I understand what you're saying when you just like, we gotta all eat, we all trying to live, and people are easier to deal with once their situation
Right.
is together. So I very much enjoyed this conversation. I know I could take
Absolutely.
this a lot longer, but
We
we're gonna go
can
over
keep going.
yeah, but I'm gonna go over it and mess with Jeff for a little bit because I know he got something going on, so I don't try to keep people too long. But do you have anything you want to plug, or you want to say to the audience before we get up out of here, and then we can go over there and mess with them?
So yeah. So I do have a book. If you guys are interested in anything, sort of the details of the experience of all this crazy shit that I've done, there's some really cool stories. Most importantly, about the book, it's actually not about me. I wanted to just be a good book. I wanted people to forget about me and be like, wow, dude, this was just a well-written book, and I love this character. So check out the book, Inner Demons. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Nobles. It's always being plugged to my podcast. Check out my podcast. Come check out the Conscious Conservatives, man, because, they're the ones who are, hosting this through MrsPinky. And be nice to people. You can actually proactively be nice to someone for no other reason than you felt like it. And I wish people would maybe try that. Nothing in return. The return is simply being nice. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us on another episode of MrsPinky's Thoughts. I'm your host, Nicole Pinkston, named aka MrsPinky, and this is my special guest, ROC. You can catch him on the ROC's World at his podcast. He has it on Spotify, Apple, and you can catch him on his Twitter handle at the ROC World. Thank you so much again, and you guys have a good night.
Good night. That was out.
Thank you.